A huge welcome to this e-commerce masters webinar. Thank you so much for coming. This is the second part of it. We know we did the first part in February, and it's taken us a little while to get to the second part, but now it's going to be monthly, and we will go and find the very best e-commerce masters from around the world and real e-commerce players like we brought along today, which is in part of our team, Shelley. So this part here is all about the accounting essentials. Some of these webinars go into ridiculous detail and complexity on setting up e-commerce businesses, but this is the basics, which we understand a lot of you want to find out about, and how you set the finances up and the accounting and the tax, all the key foundational components to get your e-commerce right and hopefully turn yourself into an e-commerce master. So I think we need to click over now, don't we? So here you are. So that's me, Darren Fell, CEO and founder, set up Crunch back in 2009. So I've been doing this a long time. We built up a fantastic team. We're not just an accountancy firm. We're a chartered accountancy firm. We are an accountancy software firm. So in the world of e-commerce, we can't build everything ourselves. We're pretty good at hunting down the very best software to provide aggregated feeds and prepared tax and all of those wonderful things. So we've been going some time, many thousands of customers, and the e-commerce area is 1 year old with a fair few customers already, hence why we've got the second webinar now. So let's, without further ado, introduce our super fan and in our very own team, Shelley Thomas.
Hi, Darren. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad. You know, I know you love doing these things. Yeah, like passing on all this amazing knowledge you built up. So we're describing you today as an e-commerce super fan. It's in the blood. You love it. You do it in your spare time. Oh, and by the way, you happen to be our enterprise marketing manager as well. Couldn't be a better person for it. So give us a little insight for the people that didn't watch part one. And by the way, if you want to watch part one and hear Shelley's story in detail, and it's really lovely, really lovely experiences of how Shelley started. Go on, give us a 30-seconder.
30 seconds. So I have been involved in e-commerce since 2006. I originally started out selling electrical appliances, cable junction boxes. Then I moved over to adhesives along with swimming pool repair kits. I've sold homeware, design-led goods, and now I kind of mainly sort of focus on marketplace platforms such as Amazon, eBay, and all the others that are around there at the moment. So yeah, so I am a self-confessed super fan of e-commerce, and yeah, I live and breathe it. It's something I've been doing for such some time.
I love it. And that's, if you want to hear that story, go to there's the link there, and we'll push these slides out there so you can see the first part. But it's so lovely. I love talking to customers and hearing stories. And when it's in your own team, it's even better. But yeah, Shelley's story is great. And this wasn't a tiny setup either. I mean, your dad's business, which you're talking about, the swimming pool repair kits and the junction boxes, didn't sell for a shabby amount of money in the end, did it? I mean, it was a proper e-commerce business, but way early in e-commerce compared to today's point where we've got to with all these multiple platforms.
Yeah, very much so. And now, like so, we've got kind of luxuries now, different marketplace options, and it was slightly different back then. But it's e-commerce is growing. They're one of the biggest kind of growing markets, and the accessibility. And I think COVID was a big contributor to that. If I'm honest, with all some business were just online, and we can see that now that's growing, which is fantastic.
It is. And this is why we're so excited. I mean, Crunch started off in the freelancing and contracting world, those micro businesses that we so love. And the whole accounting team were desperate. I was desperate to do e-commerce. And it's been such a brilliant area to move into, especially now it's moving unbelievably quickly. And across these webinars, we'll keep updating you with the latest platforms, the changes in the platforms, bringing other masters in who developed software, who were priorly Amazon FBAs at 4 million turnover businesses. There's so much to keep you abreast of in this world, and it's going to be really exciting as we see this area grow. So the agenda. We got 45 minutes. And by the way, a huge welcome and thank you to anybody who's watching this after this live event. We want it to be to help as many people as possible. So we've done our introductions. So it's fairly basic and fairly simple stuff. But often things that the beginner e-commerce people get wrong and then find a year later they're in a right pickle with their accounting and their tax, or they've got a letter from HMRC that looks pretty ominous. So we're here to just get those foundational points all sorted out. So number two is the basics of e-commerce accounting, understanding the foundations for startup businesses, identifying the common pain points in e-commerce accounting. And there are so many, unless you get the foundation set up right, unless you use the right software. Yes, you can start off with spreadsheets, as Shelley did with her business. But if you've got endless time, then carry on a spreadsheet. But if you want to save 6 to 10 hours a month, then software's going to make a big difference and help you reconcile it. As you'll see, do I need to register for tax if I start selling online? This is a big thing out there with the so-called side hustle tax that everybody's talking about on forums. It's been here forever. There's always been tax. You can't go and earn money for without paying any taxes, but under £1,000 you can. So that's a really interesting area there. Exploring the tax benefits and reminding everybody, the old thinking, the myth of accountancy was very, very expensive. And when I first started Crunch, I started in a practice and I said, well, how do you charge for your accountancy services? We look at the quality of the customer's shoe. I'm sorry, what? We look at the quality of the customer's clothes and shoes. Really? We want to know how much we can charge them. And that is very much traditional accounting, far less so now. And hopefully we made a bit of a change in that. But accountancy can be cost effective and save you a stack of time when you can be out there selling and doing e-commerce. So this is all designed as an educational webinar. We're not here to be pitching, but just reminding you that there are easier ways of running this thing, because e-commerce is a complex world as it is, let alone doing this yourself. So we get a quick comparison of DIY and professional accountancy services and what that looks like. And then you'll see on the right-hand side, you have a chat area, and you can put all your questions in, and trusty Luke behind the scenes, who's amazing for all of our audio visual stuff and all the videos. You'll see him all over Crunch masterclasses and live stuff. And he's Mr. Tech as well. So he'll be putting the questions through in that 10-minute session, and we'll answer as many as we can. And then there's a whole resources and link area. And Shelley's putting her own LinkedIn profile in there, so you can ask stacks of questions to an expert like Shelley. You can talk to our advisors who are not there just to flog stuff. They're very consultative. They help you out. And if it's not right, we're pointing in the right direction. So there you go. That's what we're doing. So the basics of e-commerce accounting. We don't understand getting this proper foundation. And having done a couple of startups myself, everything is in a proper foundation. It's so painful if you let it get to a year or a year and a half in, and you've got it on scraps of paper and a shoebox full of receipts is just a disaster zone. So getting that foundation sorted is perfect. So we've got these three areas that Shelley's going to talk about. Number one is the settlement period. And by the way, I'm not an accountant. I'm always learning, and I've been really intrigued as Shelley's told me all of the facets and the complexities of e-commerce accounting. So we've got that, which we'll talk about now. Then about complex transactions, because the platforms don't make it easy. Some do, Amazon, oh my God, that is complexity. This charge, that charge, this storage charge. Oh God, you've gone over 6 months. So that has to be handled somehow, unless you've got an amazing brain. And then, of course, the tax considerations. So the first thing, the settlement periods, Shelley, give us a whole overview on this. And you've got a few of the platforms there. How does this all work?
So one of the key sort of things when it comes to selling on any kind of platform is kind of taking into account when you're going to get paid. So if you're starting out as a side hustle and you've kind of invested money into your business and you're selling the products, what you need to know is how you kind of calculate is when the payments are going to come in for those products that you've sold, so then you can basically reinvest back into your business. So a few of these are quite shocking. I think one of the key ones, I think, which was in the news not long ago, was Etsy, and this was a big thing that Etsy created, a massive pain for anyone who was starting out as a new seller on Etsy, where they actually locked payments away for 3 months.
And 3 months?
3 months, yeah. And all these Etsy sellers,
wow,
these small businesses were basically, saying, how can we possibly fund our company by the fact that you're holding on to these payments for 3 months? So that was a big shock. There was a big uprising about it. But just, to take into account that this is something to really do, think about when it comes to kind of starting out.
You need a bit of a cash. Sorry, Shelley, to interrupt.
No,
you need a bit of a cash stockpile then if you're working with or platforms like Etsy, because you then have the money to reinvest in more materials or whatever you're making.
Exactly, and that's the big, that was a big thing that hit people, was that, well, how are they going to kind of reinvest, exactly pay for the postage and things like this? So all these things you have to kind of think about. So eBay is, they now have their own managed payments system. They used to be with PayPal, they now have their own managed payment system. So they usually do an option of daily payout and weekly payout, so slightly better with that. Amazon is every 2 weeks, which they do the payment runs. So I think it's the 1st and 16th of each month. I think they do their payment runs. Etsy, they have now changed it, because I think there was a big
everybody leaves, surely.
Yeah, everyone, exactly. Where it is 90 days, your funds will generally be available to deposit after 3 days. After sale, and then it's after the 90 days, you'll then get the next business day. Depop, which is very much kind of Gen X way of selling clothes and footwear, they take 10 working days after the sale date. So that can be quite a long time if it falls on bank holiday, things like that, weekend. So that is something to consider. And Shopify is 3 business days. So if you're thinking about your cash flow, it's always really good to kind of think about where the payment's coming in. Even if you have your own store, if you're using Stripe or any of the other payment providers, you think about when that's coming in as well. So there's a lot of things surrounding payments that people don't really think about when they actually start out.
No, I wouldn't have thought about that. I mean, that reminds me of, in the freelancing contracting world, where we fought for the contractors who were working for, and I'm happy to name and shame them, Boots had 120 days payment for their contractors. And that's horrendous. How can you pay your mortgages and pay all your bills for your household? So we started naming and shaming these people, as did other people. But it's just staying in with the corporate coffers, isn't it? And that they're benefiting from all these cash pools, and not these are very, very small businesses that surely can't afford to do that. So I think that's superb advice. That's just a snapshot of some of the platforms. There's obviously Vinted and all the other ones, but Etsy's clearly one to watch out for. There, other ones are okay. Depop, still 10 days is hard. It's a bit painful, isn't it?
It is, and if you're kind of, like I said, if you're starting out as a side hustle, and you that is a lot of money that is kind of kept away from you. And in a way, the person you sold it to has got your item, and they can be doing whatever. But and also Depop are holding on to your funds, so it does take a long time. So I think hopefully these will all change in the future, where it becomes a little bit more
They get
instant.
faster and faster and faster.
Yeah,
You hope
exactly.
so. But you often think that, you know, there's this corporate might, and like, you know, if you keep it for one extra day, we can make, you know, X $million, you know, on money held there. Okay, right. Number one, settlement period. Thank you. Number two, complex transactions. What's going on with this? So you guide us through this. I think I understand how it all works, but if I saw it, I would be, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think that catch people out when they run e-commerce businesses is the amount of transactions that are kind of you occur. So one of the big things is if you do custom orders, you know, you've got subscription services, international sales, which we'll come onto tax considerations, marketplace integrations where they take off their fee. So everything's kind of calculated, removed from, you know, you've got to add that up. You've got to make sure that all your books are balancing surrounding it. So, you know, drop shipping, if you're using fulfillment centers, anywhere that they're taking commission, for example, pre-orders. You know, you also have to factor in returns, because, you know, we live in a society where things get damaged, or it's, you know, it could be manufacturing errors, whatever it is, you know, the trends come back, it doesn't fit exactly. That's a big one. You know, we have to factor that in. So also keeping cash reserves for that. Same with the exchanges. So, you know, there's loads of different things surrounding that. I think for one invoice, I think they usually say it's around about 4 expense kind
Items.
of items go towards it. So, you know, you think when you're kind of reconciling and doing your bookkeeping, it's huge. I think they average around about, someone said to me, I think it's around about 6 hours a month that you kind of need to really kind of reconcile your bookkeeping. But obviously the more
if you're doing it manually.
If you do it manually, but also that increases. So if you're in, you know, thousands of transactions, that's going to take you so long to get those reconciled. So, you know, it's something to factor in, and a lot of people don't realise as well.
Because on for freelancing, contracting, and simple businesses, you've got, you know, that's what you bill for your month's worth of work, or the website project, or the logo project, and when the payment comes in, hopefully it's within 30 days. It's simple. It matches up. You know, the system can do it automatically. But when you're talking about, you know, all these adjustments or warehousing fees or like reimbursement, I'm not even quite sure how you do that on a spreadsheet. Obviously, it's possible, but you must get to a point and you're going, no way. There's got to be an easier life than this, because you need. I mean, I'm really starting to appreciate the more we speak, Shelley, like the amount of work, the sourcing of the items that you need to get takes forever, and then you've got to place it, and then you've got all the accounting things. So it's not the easiest thing to do, but I can see it being pretty fulfilling. But yeah, I'm just staggered at the complexity right in the middle there. On reconciliation isn't easy because you've got all these myriad of different charges.
Yeah, exactly. So it's if you're doing, you know, most people kind of start out e-commerce businesses as side hustle. So, you know, you're working full time or part time. Then you've got to, you know, like you said, source stock. You've got to pack the orders that everything you sell. You've got to then kind of, you know, get everything out and get the money in. So, you know, it's really time consuming. So trying to add on to sort of your accounting alongside that, you know, making sure you're keeping above board and keeping afloat and knowing what's going on. So it's important ways to know what your cash flow is as well. That's why it's so important to kind of keep track of everything.
And obviously, you know, the more expenses you're capturing, ideally automatically, because the software's picking it all up, or you're clocking all of these things. This is coming off of your tax. You know, of any of the net profit that you're actually producing. So you want to capture absolutely everything, don't you? I mean, I never forget when we first brought the receipt capture out, and people were realizing they'd been losing out like £500 to £700 a month of, you know, subsistence sandwiches and taxi rides and train rides, because they had a box of them somewhere, they didn't know where they were, but to capture them and instantly go in, you're literally winding down the tax you need to pay. just from lots of little transactions. And there's bound to be, there's stacks in there. Right, okay, so that's complex transactions. Number 3, tax considerations. Now, this is a bit of a beast, let alone if you go international. What do you reckon here?
So this is, this, like you said, this is the beast. So if, you get to an income and we've got turnover that's turning over 85,000, which is then you have to register for VAT. Then you kind of go into a new world. So if you then start looking to ship internationally, this is where, we really kind of take in sort of different things that you have to think about. So that would be, VAT on anywhere that you sell, you could be kind of liable for. It's like cross-selling. So like I said, jurisdictions that you may be selling in, you might have to claim VAT for. You're thinking about, if you do digital products, there's the VATMOS. If you were selling products under 150 euros, it's called IOS, which is like a one-stop shop for VAT. So there's so many different things to think about. And we have got it on this slide that kind of shows that the little things that we're talking about, and say like the taxation of digital products. And these are just snippets of little things. But so the big one is if you do cross-border taxation, that is the one that is frightening. That one. Yeah, so definitely.
So I think the VAT is an obvious one, and I think a lot of people, and if you're just before this 85k, then once you cross it, don't worry about crossing it because you don't want to go on the VAT. It's VAT. If you've got a system and you've got an accountant in place, it should be ridiculously simple. It should be automatic. But then again, there's so many nuances, as Shelley's saying, is as soon as it starts getting international, selling to a business in the States doesn't have a VAT. And by the way, I'm not an accountant. We'll be bringing a whole range of accountants on in these various e-commerce masterclasses for like real specific details. But selling to an individual in the States, you have to charge VAT on here. That's the current rule. I mean, the rules are expansive, and this is when you need an expert. And what you can say, Shelley, you see this all the time, don't you? People are discussing everything in forums and trying to get advice there because they're worried that the accountant's going to be, going to cost them a fortune. But they don't have to if you pick wisely. But you can very, very easily make gigantic mistakes, in this area. When you get to a certain level, because we've got a number of million plus turnover businesses who are global, and you then plug in like an international sort of tax-based function that works in conjunction with Crunch, and then that automates and sorts out all of these complexities for you. But you need to get to that certain point before you can justify it. But don't let us put you off going international. You can go step by step. But it's just easy to have like someone on the end of the phone, on the end of the video to go through. What do I do in this country? Okay, a lot of the platforms do it, but you get to a certain point, and it may be far sooner than a million. That you can plug in someone that just like takes away that whole pain on the international side. But there's a lot to consider. Right, this is the classic one, isn't it? I mentioned in the agenda is this side hustle tax, and I haven't got round to doing the TikTok video because we've been so busy. Hence why this webinar is a few months on. And everybody's discussing it, and I'm going, oh my God, the HMRC have brought in a side hustle tax. Oh my God, do I have to pay tax? It's been there forever. There isn't such a thing as a side hustle tax. But why it's kicked in now is HMRC are obviously in this current economic climate desperate to get tax revenue, and they've clocked that so many people like Shelley are making some money from home, and they want that piece of it. So anything over £1,000, and that's your trading allowance you're allowed per year in total, so i.e., what was the example this morning, Shelley? You have a clear out of the wardrobe and you sell everything on Vinted and you start again. You make up to £1,000. You don't need to pay tax on that. That's what it's designed for. Anything over that, you have to pay tax. So, our argument is that don't try and do it yourself. Don't try and do the spreadsheets because it starts becoming painful. But the thing they did is that HMRC went to all of the platforms, and this is what's got everybody, I think. And this isn't the exhaustive list, by the way. eBay, Vinted, Airbnb, Etsy, and it goes on. And they are getting regular downloads of the users, i.e. you, and the revenue output from that. And if it doesn't tally up on the self-assessment, if you're a sole trader or doesn't tally up on the limited company, then they will be sending a letter to you. So this is what it's all about, and it's been, I suppose, good for Crunch because we go right across the board from a standalone self-assessment to a sole trader all the way through to what we call enterprise, up to a 10 million turnover business. But these are the smaller home sellers. So what have you seen out there, Shelley?
So I've seen on a forum, which is interesting. This guy, he is selling on eBay. He's selling video games, and he has something. He sold over 4,000 products on eBay. He has feedback of about 1,800. And he's still
was it over 4,000? Over 4,000?
Over 4,000 items he sold. And he's got basically stipulating that he is 100% not a business seller and he's a private seller. And I was like, wow, okay. And if people like,
wow. So wait a minute, let's just say, Shelley, how much we think his revenue is. And we don't know if he's paying tax or not. Now he will probably get caught if he's still pretending to be an individual. Say it's 40 quid a game. Holy moly, it's 160k a year revenue just from that part of his business. So he's probably earning, in turnover terms, hundreds of K. Don't know what he'd be earning in net profit. Some of them would be quite juicy. But I mean, we've all got our personal feelings on HMRC, I'm sure, but I can see why they've done that. But I think we need to do a TikTok to answer it off, because everybody's having a banter and you get different opinions when they're not accountants, they haven't done it. So now we know. So the legislation is, I think it's called the digital reporting, a whole piece of legislation that allows them to connect into all these platforms. And of course, not just in the UK, globally. I don't know where Vinted is based, but it's probably based in mainland Europe, isn't it? But that's been super interesting. Yeah. So we're kind of expecting that all of the all platforms that have, say, franchises on them or, say, drivers on them to be connected to or have to output everything, all the revenue, all of the actual people, the drivers, the franchises to HMRC, and HMRC will feed that into their AI, and they do have AI correlate it back. And if they see a discrepancy between self-assessments and limited accounts, then they will be sending their automated emails out. So I'm sure they're getting very, very clued up in this area, because there's a huge amount of money going. It's shifted, as you're saying, from COVID times. It's now shifting, and it's such an amazing area, and it's great for us to move into a really, really exciting area. We love freelancer and contractor accounts. E-commerce accounts are challenging in some cases for our chartered accountancy team. Now, the tax benefits, and this is where a lot of people don't realise what you can claim back. Because if you try and keep it as a personal thing and try and go under radar, then if you could go above radar and do it all properly, you'll be in actually a surprisingly good position given what you can claim back. So do you want to go through all the things that you've listed out there, Shelley?
Yeah, of course. So Obviously, the allowable expenses for e-commerce businesses. One of the ones I think a lot of people don't realise is home office. Now, this is sometimes a slight an area which you can sometimes get blurred. So the home office has to be used for business purposes only. It can't be a spare room that you put a desk in, and you can't have a bed or anything like that in there. It's otherwise that's cost of duality. But basically, it's a home office where you can actually claim back expenses towards that. But if you do just have a desk set up, you can actually claim for your furniture, your desk and chair and things like that for your home office if you don't have a dedicated area. Same if you're using sort of co-working space for virtual office, you can claim back against those. Same things if you have storage units like Big Yellow Storage and other storage units are out there. But you can also get claim that back as an expense. Same with your mobile phone and broadband. Now, you can only claim back like full amounts if your mobile phone and broadband are in your business name. So if you're solely using it for business purposes, that's
the key one on that Shelley, isn't it? It has to be in the business name. We've seen clients that have tried to claim for it on their personal one, and then you can only do a tiny portion. So, and this is when you start looking like a drug dealer when you go out, isn't it? You've got like multiple phones. No, this is my e-commerce phone, honestly.
Yeah. But like I say, exactly what you said. If, however, you do use your mobile phone is in your personal name, the same as your broadband, then you can claim back a percentage, but obviously within reason. So you can't claim back 70%. You can potentially claim back 20% if you use your mobile phone for 20%, and same with the broadband for about 20% of your business. Same with like website hosting costs and software subscriptions. Freelancers and staff costs people don't realise. Software. Your packing materials that anyone knows. If you're in e-commerce, it costs an absolute fortune for packing materials, so you definitely want to be able to claim those back.
You don't realise how much packing materials do cost. I'm sure you have to go to better places than WH Smith because you get absolutely rinsed there, don't you?
Yeah, become friends with your local supermarket, and they can try and give you any of the packing boxes and things like this. But
that's what you do.
So try and do anything I can recycle.
That's genius. I like that.
Travel expenses. So, for example, if you're going to trade shows or conferences, you can actually claim the travel expenses to those back. You can claim the tickets back. And also, in addition, if you have to stay overnight, then you can also claim that back as well. But obviously, everything is within reason, within that business mileage. So if you're going to source stock, if you're going to take your deliveries, for example, down to your local sorting office, then that's also claimed as a business mileage. Your business insurance is also included, and obviously, more importantly, which so many people don't realise, is accountancy services are also a allowable expense, which really shocks people actually when you tell them.
But that's kind of bizarre when you think about all the other allowable expenses and why people. But I think it honestly stems back to that myth. And certainly when I started Crunch, looking at the way the accountants sold their services, it's still got that whole feeling about it. I don't want an accountant. I just want to do it myself. I want software. Thinking the software will solve everything, but it doesn't, because the nuances in tax and the complexities are always there. So that's really useful. The home office, we've got all the calculations for that. There's specific articles on the Crunch Knowledge site. But at the end, Shelley, you put together your fave links and resources section, and you've just created a whole expenses pack that is like no other, isn't it? It's every single thing they can get back.
Yeah, basically, in anything to do with running a limited company, same with sole trader, we've got in the resources at the back of the slide deck here, there's links to our knowledge articles that have all that, and say it's such a good read to have a look through. You can also download our limited company expense pack as well, so you can have that. But it is so interesting to kind of read through, because there's a lot of things, if you are in the process of doing your own accounts, whether you're starting out or you're thinking about getting an accountant, it is shocking at what you can kind of claim, which is a good way, because it reduces your tax at the end of the day.
But that's what, when you want to do it kind of legitimately, which is going back to the side hustle tax, isn't it? Like, you put in these things, and the pain would be, going back to the original contractor example, is like, they can be bothered to collect all this stuff. And then you have a little app, a Snap app, and you snap. And you get to the end of the year, and it's like, oh my God, I've saved $6,000 or $7,000. And that's come off my tax. These are all legitimate things. I've checked with Crunch. It's in the app, blah, blah, blah. And it makes life so much simpler. I mean, the other thing, which as we look into all these genres, and it's probably back to our sole trader, new product called One, is the musicians area, which we want to do so much more with. Is you forget that the guitars, the PA, the van, all the stuff they do, and trying to run a money-making music business, and they're often working in a full-time job. Those expenses there can come off of PAYE. So it's all these clever, legitimate tactics to further doing what you love without having to stay in a cash world, or spend all this money and not see the benefits of running it properly. With a tiny bit of advice goes so much. So it takes you so far, doesn't it? So right, okay. So this was your list, having done DIY for so many years. How many spreadsheets have you got, Shelley, that you work with?
Quite a few. Different platforms.
You do one per platform?
One per platform, yeah.
Okay.
But and that is the thing. When you're starting out, it is spreadsheets. You try to do things that, especially if you're starting out and just as a sole trader, you're trying to record everything. And that's fine. It gets to a point, but actually then as soon as you start scaling your business, that's when it becomes more complex, and there's additional accounting software that you may need alongside that. Same with the tax knowledge. I've spent hours going down Google rabbit holes, sort of trying to work out if I can claim this. Is this something I can do? And
you don't know if it's right or not. You don't know if it's right or not, or if it's actually the current times. I mean, the example on, and I won't recount it because I don't know, but the different types of marshmallows, some have VAT on them and some don't. It makes my mind boggle. So yeah, you need to keep up to date with the continuous changes and the complexity involved.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's one of the things that whether you're worried about overpaying tax, which in a way is the better if you're overpaying, because then you will get that back. But the worst thing you ever want to do is exactly. But the worst thing you ever want to do is underpay tax, and that and that could be just purely because you don't know, and that's the thing. It becomes very overwhelming. I know at times, I felt really overwhelmed. Very much in my early days before there was kind of the QuickBooks came out of in a CD that you put in you uploaded onto your software. That's how dated, that's how early it was that was doing it. And making sure
you're not using QuickBooks now, are you?
No, not at all. I'm Crunch through and through now. But and even the compliance. I registered as being self-employed the first day I came with the idea and I started, and that was just something I did. But a lot of people don't realise that kind of goes back to you do you have to register for tax. That's the big thing as well. And finding time, that is as I mentioned earlier, when you're doing this as a side hustle, trying to find 5 minutes, especially if you're trying to do this and you've got a family, you've got a dog to walk, you've got you've got to do your weekly shop, all these things, you've got to find time to do it. And everyone romantically thinks that there's time and we've got time to do it, but reality kicks in. and it doesn't happen like that. And that's so important, is like by getting some additional support, by almost like having an accountant acts as like your finance team, you're already taking that pressure off yourself. And that is one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, your time is really important. So that's why finding time is stressful when you're doing a side hustle.
Right. Okay. So there's loads of reasons why. I mean, I'd hate to think of you setting an alarm at 5 o'clock in the morning just to fit in your reconciliation stuff on your spreadsheet, your multiple spreadsheets, and then go to work at Crunch for a full day. Yeah, it's a bit mad, isn't it? Right. Okay. So we're running out of time. We've been excitedly conveying all this information. So let's have a little Q&A session here. So I can see loads of sort of chats coming in. Is Luke going to pick? You're going to pick one, or Shelley, you're going to pick one? Because I can just about see it on my monitor. You got any questions in there?
Not between yet. But
okay, there's a lot of banter. Can you see anything there, or any other like useful information you've got, Shelley? For
me, I think it's just getting your foundations in place. That's the thing. I think if you as long as you get your cash flow, what you're doing, you're not overstretching, so you're not kind of buying one of something and then the risk of it, not selling and things like that. There's so many risks with when it comes to sort of starting out. So for me, it definitely is just kind of starting slow and building your foundations, get an understanding of, and seek help, whether that will be through seeking advice through an accountant, whether you're seeking advice with sort of, forums that are out there that kind of help, and they, it is just kind of finding your feet and getting that foundation in place. It's so important. Like I said, if anyone has any questions of it, fine, if there's nothing that's coming on today, but if you think later on down the line that you've got a question, then as Darren said, I've dropped my LinkedIn details here, so feel free to reach out. Even if you're, never thought about starting out, but you just want to know how to start out, then, reach out. We're more than happy to chat with you. And the same with, if you want to speak to the guys in the team about anything, then please do, because, the one thing with Crunch is that we want to support, and that's how I feel. I do run a business alongside working for Crunch, and I am a Crunch client, and I do feel supported. So that's one thing, it's so important to try and get that balance that you do.
Yeah, exactly. That's I'll second that. I set up Crunch, having built up an email marketing business that was anti-spam called Pure 360, and built up a real love. I always helped entrepreneurs whenever I could. Buy me a couple of pints of San Miguel, and I'll sit and help you and work out plan and solve your problems. But Crunch, with our website and all the knowledge base, we've written so much stuff, and the traffic now is jumping up. In January, there's almost 160,000 users in the month, and that feels good. Really, really helping. As we've done freelancing and contracting for a long time. That's still a huge area for us, but this area feels like we're coming a year in, coming into like an area that really needs a lot of expert help, and it needs plumbing in as well. Unless you want to be stuck with however many Shelley's spreadsheets are required, but not anymore. So yeah, that's our mission, and there is a community in Crunch. So please reach out. We've got an amazing enterprise accountancy team, chartered accountants that will listen to what you're trying to do, or problems that maybe you've got stuck in. Hopefully not tax, but everything is sortable. It just requires a conversation. So Shelley, you put the number on for the team. So yeah, very consultative. Selling, and if we can't help, then we'll point in the right direction to help you. So here's the last one from me in the last few minutes. I hate rip-off priced things out there, and I've endeavoured to deliver Crunch with amazing tech and amazing support and accountancy services at a fair price. It's not cheap for cheap's sake, and I've done it here because we have been in the enterprise area, the e-commerce area. We have been horrified at the pricing points. When we came into the freelancing contracting space, some people were being charged £5,000 a year for a really simple set of accounts, and we came out for under £1,000. And the same here. The pricing point we've set is not designed to be cheap, because it's not a cheap service. It is, it's a high quality service. So I thought we'd do a Pepsi challenge or a Crunch challenge. If anybody wants to try it, and you're in the higher echelon of you've got hundreds of thousands running through your e-commerce business, talk to the team. Send your all of your software bills over and your current accountancy bills. And it's not as though we'll make the price up from there, because all the prices are live on the site, and we'll do a comparison for you to see with all the bits you need, like the payroll and all of those. And I reckon it's going to be anything between a 20 and 60% saving, because we've seen a few price lists out there of some London-based e-commerce accountants, and yes, they're amazing, but holy moly, that's a lot of money being spent. So yeah, if you want to try the Crunch challenge, we thought we'd add this into our educational webinar. So give it a whirl. If not, just reach out to Shelley, reach out to the team, talk to our accountants, and we'd love to help. And we'll be with you because we're going to do this every month now, aren't we, Shelley?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get waylaid by too much going on in Crunch. We're going to find the very best e-commerce masters, and Shelley's. I'd like you to help me talk to all these people. And I think bit by bit we're getting into some really, really interesting areas. Say Dan, who's built up an aggregating software to bring all the feeds from TikTok Shop and Etsy and eBay all into our accounting software and allow easy accounting with all the tax done after running a 4 million turnover. I think it was a 4 million turnover Amazon FBA business. These are the sort of people, all of their tips and hints and tricks and all of their learnings, so we can help you. So I think we'll call it there. Huge thanks for coming in live now, and a huge thanks for the people who are watching this afterwards. So thank you so much, Michael. That's really, really good to see. And I can see a load of chat there. We can't put them all up on the screen. But yeah, start basic and get the information, and then we'll have some more complicated diving into some real detailed subjects. So there's the Knowledge Hub. There's the expenses guide, the limited company expense guide, and there's a whole e-commerce hub that we're adding to. Literally by the hour, because we love it so much. So there's Luke, and thanks Luke so much for guiding us through all the tech of streaming this live. Brilliant as ever, and thanks again, Shelley, for my very own e-commerce super fan, and luckily working for us on the enterprise marketing side to help us get out there. So a big thanks from me, and a big thanks from you, Shelley.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. Right. See you all soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.